Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Copper Coins Coin Roll Hunt Reveal. E267, a 1964D original wrapped roll. If you notice, I'm doing these out of order. I got 266 coming up afterwards, and that's because I wanted to give people on the left coast a little extra time. Anyways, we'll wait for a couple of people to get in here, and we'll unwrap this roll and get rolling. Hope everybody had a wonderful week so far. All right, shows a couple people strolling in. Richard Sappington, how are you today? Watching from work. Very good. Mickey, how are you? Dan, welcome. All right, we're going to get this roll opened. Okay, here we go. Our first coin of the day. Oh, guess we need to turn these around. Goes to Carl. And Carl gets, we have RPMs, double die obverses, double die reverses, a lot of stuff to look for. Oh, I bet he is, Dan. It's just, I would just leave it be. Sometimes you just can't fix, make things right. Some people won't have it. They could know they're wrong and still argue just for the sake of arguing. There are some nice double die reverses. As a matter of fact, I've been going through some rolls that Chuck sent me. One was a reveal roll. It had two real nice double die reverses in it. This wrapper was marked with RPM 2, so I'm assuming there's RPM 2 in this roll. 75 and pennies, baby. Welcome. I'll probably look at most of the reverses unless I just absolutely know that it's a die pair that I've seen. But I will have packages going out. I had packages ready to go. And Chuck sent me coins, and so they will contain up to E263 or 4 or 263 and up to 620. I might end up sending extra coins from these reveals just to get rid of the mass, because I have got a pile of coins on the shipping table right now. There are lots. Ant, welcome. Paula, how are you? I'll tell you, I don't know how you do that Facebook thing. I'm going crazy just reading the stuff that you do. Well, there's one. That's not RPM number 2 either. That is a different one. That's not a bad one either. Let's see if we can find it. All right, not in the first 10 probably. It's not that one. There are a lot of them listed that look very similar to this. That's too close and too north. That's looking pretty close. Well, that could be that, but don't have that marker. Let's see if we can find the other 2 markers. No, so we will look again. It could be a different die state of this, but we will keep looking. Boy, that looks like it. That is too far north. This is probably going to take an overlay to make sure. Oh, what's that? That looks close. Nope, too far east. All right, I'm going to have to compare it, but I think it could be one MM22. But we'll have to see. So Roger gets the first coin of the roll with a variety in it. Or on it. You can make a little note to compare it with 1MM22. And we're off again. Sending out your invoice. If you haven't got an invoice from Chuck for an auction, you need to email him. I don't have anything here for you. So if this is from an auction, like the last auction he had, I wasn't there. So if you haven't got oh, there's another one. An invoice yet, you need to send him an email or check your spam folder. It could also be that. Our second example of this RPM. Yeah, I'm telling you, Dan. And we could use it. The 57 roll was not, I got some machine doubling on this, was not really good. Matter of fact, I think the 57 roll was a dud. The last roll we did. And first dud in a long time, too. And another normal coin. So it heated up and stopped. Coin number 7 for Ant. Gonna do 2 rolls, pretty close to back. I have the 44S roll coming up. Life at the Beyer homestead is returning to normal. My mother-in-law is at home. My wife is at home. So things should be back to normal for a few months now. Beautiful weather down here. We are having right now, it is sunny and 90. A little bit warm, but it is a dry 90, so it's not too bad. Even though I don't buy a whole lot into the dry heat thing. When it's 100 degrees, it's just plain hot, whether it's 100 and 100% humidity or 100 and no humidity. No, I'm sending reveals out. And it was the coins on the invoices would have been from E255 to 263 to reveals 613 to 620. Found some nice varieties lately. There's a 2006 double die obverse that's going to be put up on the site that's really nice. I've just got to get to editing web pages. Just like that, I had them all caught up except for about 10, and I'm about 40 in the hole again. Am I going to Chuck's before June 14th? I do not think so. I got some stuff I've got to do around here. Originally, if you were going to go to the fun, if Chuck was going to go to the fun show, I was just going to follow, go back up with him. So it'll probably still be something like that, more like July 14th. Coin number 11 for Mickey. Yeah, the double die obverses that I look for are usually in 64 somewhere on the L, like underneath the L or up on the stem of the L. There's doubled eyelids, which would be right here. Also on the T, there's a couple of them that have a little bit of a stem of another T. Either here or here, actually. Nope. Thought I actually saw an up and down, and I've seen those before. And then you have some that are right here, and this is, some people will say that's a double die. I'm not pushing that. The double die reverses we see are usually on the bottom of 1 cent, and there's many of them. Enough to where well, they're different, so it's hard to say they come from the hub. But there's a lot of them, and they're very heavy, and sometimes they're Also, like the one on the top of States United, it basically was the whole reverse. See, this has got kind of a thick FG. Let me get in on that. See if there's anything separating in that. No, it's reflection. That's another thing. When you look with improper lighting, and unfortunately, this is not the same lighting I photograph with, you can make a coin look like it has doubling on the letters in the date through reflection. I don't know if I can get it to do it. Let's see if I can get it to do it. No, not. No, every once in a while, these just don't have the right sheen, especially like on Shield Sense. You can really make it look like there's doubling on the date through the way your light is hitting it. Well, I'll try to wait till you're back, Mickey. Coin number 12 is for Stan. And like I say, I think it's right around that time. So even if I get there early, I'm planning on staying for a little while. Same die pair again. So when you see that, don't jump to the conclusion that you have a doubled die, that it could be a lot of things. My first thing would be look under a loop. Anybody that searches coins should have a microscope and they should have a hand magnifier or a loop. I have my favorites, but I understand that a lot of people don't want to spend $60 on a loop. So the cheap $5 ones work pretty good. But you should definitely have a magnifier that looks something like that. I got to put one right next to the roll. And even when I do these reveals, sometimes you'll see me take the coin off. I will look at it if I think I see something under the light. Because you don't want to jump to conclusions and think that you have something when you really don't. Yeah, it happens, Dan. You didn't jinx the roll. So remember that when you're searching. Also, turn your coins. There's another thing. When you get something and it looks like it's doubled, turn your coin. That reflection can go away. And like I say, digital endoscope type cameras are even worse for it than regular cameras. Otis, welcome. And there we go. See? Well, this is a different one. This is a different one. So let's see if we can find this one. See if there's even a lower serif on it. I just haven't had to find not much of a lower serif on it. Just as rotated. That's okay. I don't need that. We'll let Paula deal with that aggravation. She's good at it. All right, let's see. Go back here, see if we can't. Well, it looks like that one. So let's see. What we can find here. Well, it doesn't have the die markers for that. but it very well could be a different die state, and it would make kind of sense, one being 21 and 22, or 20 and 22, since they might have been found all in the same roll. Not much for markers here. Let me look further. All right, I think this is 20, but I'm going to have to do some more work on it. Let me write a note that this could be 20. And that's what I might do one day, is show you how I go about figuring out if dies without matching markers could possibly be the same die pair. Welcome, Eric. How are you? So yeah, my coin searching 101 to start would be a good magnifier, good light, then maybe a microscope, a computer microscope, third. I personally think you should learn how to search with a hand magnifier. But ultimately, it is up to you. Coin 16 for Dan. And no RPM 2 yet, because RPM 2 is actually a big one. The reverses are pretty early die state on most of these coins, which is a good thing. All right. Good stuff. Lots of stuff to be found. Lots of stuff. Little die gouge right under the beard. Yeah, well, and it's a good way to double check. If you are using a microscope, the magnifier, the hand magnifier with a good light is a good way to double check, because you will see it better and clearer. It might be smaller and harder to see, but you'll get a good view of it with your magnifier. And I recommend learning on a 10x. Anything stronger until you really learn how to look through a magnifier. You don't want to use much stronger. Matter of fact, if you're looking for cherry pickers varieties, I can remember J.T. Stanton saying a cherry pickers variety couldn't be a cherry pickers variety unless you could easily see it with a 7x loop. And I can tell you, a lot of people don't use. I've got a 7x loop and I don't use it because seeing most varieties on a 7x loop is hard. '68S, that's a make or break roll, so you can find lots of good stuff in there, but you get skunked a lot on those rolls. There's some nice double die obverses. And I think there's about 5 or 6 RPMs. So there is some good stuff to find for sure. See that last coin right there? I saw a reflection off of FG that looked like it could be fat and doubled, and the first thing I did was get my loop and look at it and find out that it wasn't doubled. And the one thing I can say is I want you guys to find a ton of varieties or errors. If you know me, I look for errors because they happen, not because I collect them. And I don't keep very many of them. Any big die, I mean, very few die cracks do I keep. I think the best variety I found lately was one I sent to Mickey that we found in our 55S roll. Now, here's another piece of advice, Eric. When you search those 64D rolls, don't automatically discard them. Unless you're really good at finding stuff, save them, let them sit for a year after you look through them, and look through them again. You would be surprised at how much you'll miss. It'll be like a light clicks on. When you really find something, you'll say, that's it. I understand. That's what a lot of people don't get, is they will see something and they'll say, I see doubling, and they don't. They see dye abrasion, or they see reflection. There can be a million things that make it look doubled. And then when you see it, you'll think right in your head, you'll go, wow, I have seen this before. And then you go back through and chances are you have seen it before. But it's very fun and very relaxing. Another piece of advice I can give is do it because you like to do it. And if you find something good, it's a plus. But if you're doing it for a profit deal, it tends to be unprofitable because you usually end up spending all your extra money that you get from finding something good on more coins to look for more good stuff. At least that's my problem. And I have a hard time even doing that. I keep everything. Like this, I've got a roll that's exactly like this that I will search and pull the varieties out of one day. Yeah, that's how I feel, Dan. But like I said, I do it just to keep it relaxes my brain. If I don't do stuff to keep my brain busy, I end up thinking about stupid stuff. Different dye pair, later dye state. Got a 44S roll coming up probably 10 minutes after we're done with this. And then I've got a 2024 roll tomorrow, and I actually saw pictures of the first doubled die that I've seen for 2024. There's another one. I have doubled. You look on eBay, all these listings for doubled dies. They're not doubled dies. I guess I haven't looked in a couple weeks. This one I saw on Facebook, and it was most definitely a double die reverse. It is not. It is on the designer's initials on the reverse. On LB, and I think it's JFM. I'm sure there will be 2024 double dies that are fat on Liberty and on the first two digits of 2024. But usually like 2024, the doubling will be like on RTY. And it can be like where it's all these, this is cut at like extra thickness here, and then this is cut at an angle up like that. Usually it's fatness. It's not doubling, because the method they use for making the dies, Fat Liberty, that could be that. Usually you will see it like a little thickness in the curve of the two, and then the first zero will be kind of egg-shaped also. I do think they have changed the way they make the dies, though. The single squeeze method, they started implementing that in the late 80s. And I think it was totally implemented by the mid-90s. But then it has come out that, hey, sometimes you have to squeeze them again. So there is a possibility of getting an RPM or a double die. I guess you can't get an RPM after 1989 because the mint mark is in the master die. But especially since 2022, the type of doubling and the amount of doubling has changed, which is kind of making me start to think that the machinery they're using has changed, or the protocols that they're using while making the dies has changed, which is allowing double dies to happen again, like nickels. There are so many. There's already a bunch of double die nickels for 2024, and they're basically the same as the 2023. That's it. They're extra thickness, but if you look on the nickels, while some are calling them class 8, I think that they're class 2 again. I think that they're just not single squeeze because they're on the outer edge of the devices too. Most of the double dies for the new coins happen towards the center of the design and work their way outwards. And that has always been the story since you could find the doubled columns on the memorials. They were always in the 6th or 7th column, or 5th or 6th column. Whereas now, like on the nickels, you're seeing doubling out towards the edge, down here. There's a couple of them that have the doubling way up here. Some of them have it off to this edge. I mean, the doubling is all over the place. And when they came up with class 9, which is doubling with the single squeeze method, the presses would come down. You have a conical blank, so it looks like a triangle at the tip. And the hub comes down and starts pushing on it. And sometimes it doesn't push totally true. It kind of cocks a little bit. As a matter of fact, there's a video somewhere online where you hear a big bang while they're doing pressing the die. And that is the die straightening out within the press. And that's where it comes from, because where it is cocking is towards the initial press, because it starts in the center and works its way down. And that's what, like I say, leads me to believe that they have changed the process for making dies. And it could be as simple as the guy that used to make dies retired and they got a new guy doing it and he just doesn't do it as well. I mean, there could be a million reasons. It might not even be a protocol issue. Here's another one of those RPMs. You see it. This, I think, is number 20, but it has no markers for what's listed. You can see it right there. It's rotated. So I'm not going to look at the reverse on this because I know it's not a double die reverse. Coin 33 goes to Parvis. Different die pair. Big die crack across the head right there. See, there's a lot of people that keep those. And that's cool. I mean, a lot of people, I mainly collect RPMs. And I am actually pursuing, there's a 55S that's got an anomaly on the head that I want one. It's a massive. And I keep, when I get big cuds and stuff like that, I'll keep those. There's what I believe is 1mm22. Can see a split upper serif again. It was, and the double dies were different, Richard. But like I say, I think that I do believe, number one, there's proof, because there's testimony from Mint employees that on occasion they had to squeeze them more than one time. But now it seems like it's happening more frequently. And there's got to be a reason for it. And, you know, equipment wears out, and you're talking about equipment that would be over 30 years old for making the dies. So there's a very good chance that they've got new equipment. Now, also, I would not be surprised if in the future they just start making dies with CNC, like a router or a lathe or something like that. I do know that they do it on very limited coinage already, and it depends on how the designer wants to do it. They can either do a computer design or like a Galvano type thing. And some of the metals and stuff that you get from the U.S. Mint site that have low production, say 100,000, they just run 2 dies off with the CNC. It ain't going to happen anytime soon. That stuff costs a lot of money, and you got to remember they're striking on a normal year billions of coins. And depending on the denomination, I know like on penny dies, they strive to get 1 million strikes out of a penny die, and I don't think they do. But I bet you it's not uncommon for them to get 500,000 strikes out of a penny die. But that's still hundreds of dies to do the coinage that they do. And I'm sure that a CNC router takes a long time to get that Not to mention, I'm sure they're scrapping it if the tooling breaks or the bit gulls up. It ruins it. Or when your pressing dies, there's a less likelihood of a total failure of getting something that you just can't use. What is that? That is a little teeny lamb peel right by the date. See, a lot of people would look at that and say, it's hard to see, but you can see it's like metal raised up off the surface. When you turn it that way, it's a little easier to see. I have a hard time. I don't search a lot of Shield Sense, but I have found a lot within Shield Sense. There you go, Richard. Then there'd be lots of stuff to collect, wouldn't there? I actually just bought a coin. I don't know where it's at. Is this it? Yeah. Speaking of that, a 1681 real. You can't see nothing left of it, barely. The 2019, there's a big one in 2014 also that you find quite a bit. But 2019, I believe there is a big one that shows up a lot. Oh, there's a lot of nice ones in every year. Next coin is for Ant. It could be. There's RPM number 2. So I wasn't wrong, because it's my handwriting on this roll. That's a good one there. That's a D over D West. You can see it on the back of the D. I'm just going to double check that, but I'm sure that's number 2. Oh yeah, most definitely. And we'll see if this has got said markers, and if it does, this will be a new plate coin. It does. So that will probably be a new plate coin for the site. And that just shows you never know what you're going to find in a roll. You never know. I know that I've searched. That is a gouge there. See, that almost had that same reflection, but now you see, and it was done after the strike because it's jagged and metal is raised up around the depression right there. When you have something that's struck through, all the devices will head inwards like that. That's a little struck through right there. Yeah, those were pretty neat, Richard. Now that, and then those, people were finding two different die states within the same rolls. And I think there's like 4 different progressions of it. Like I say, that 55S, that to me, when people talk about cracked heads and all that other stuff, there's a 20, what I think is a 20. You can see the upper serif. But that, the 155S I'm talking about, it literally is like his whole head is missing right there. And I have heard that it's not a die break, that it's actually something that's retained, like debris retained on the die, so it's just making that hole. I have seen one found. We found one in a 55S roll a long time ago on one of Chuck's reveals. And then I've seen one sell in an auction. But those are the only ones that I have seen. And most people that are into errors know what coin I'm talking about because it's legendary as far as like what they used to call retained die breaks and stuff like that. Paula was here. She could tell us what it was called. She was the one that was talking to, I believe, one of the experts on errors. And they said it wasn't a retained die break, that it was something else. Next coin is for Jordan. I'm not a big believer in that, Eric. I think that is a random anomaly because there is 4 different spots that shows up. It seems to move. But then again, if that's that kind of stuff, I don't think it's a die variety so much. But it was collectible. I mean, it's like the speared bison and stuff like that. And it was very collectible at first. I'm not sure how collectible they are now. I haven't really kept track of it. I have looked at them and photographed a couple coins. And I have seen pictures, like I say, of 4 different locations of the V. And all of them have multiple examples, so they're all in the die. Yeah. Oh no, I agree that a lot of people love them. I would love to know how they ended up happening. I mean, because it's definitely not an extra V. We've seen that die before. It's an anomaly that looks like a V. It's more like a check mark. And the last coin in the roll is for Parvis. I will have another roll coming up very shortly. Let's see what time it is. It is about 10 to 2. I will probably be back by 2 o'clock or so to do... Oh, here it is. That roll right there. We will get my focus coin up. Get that ready to go. I want to thank everybody for joining. Hit that like button on the way out if you haven't already done it. And I will see everybody in 5 minutes or so. Hey, Anthony, we're getting ready to start another roll, starting in about 5 minutes. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.